What is it to love, to be loved, and to be afraid of love? In many stories across media, lies are seen as cowardly fibs, murmured to avoid the consequences or to push an agenda. Lies are often perceived as inherently harmful. After all, if lies are hurtful, the truth must be kind. The idea that a lie could ever be told to protect someone often feels like nothing more than just an excuse to avoid the truth. But Oshi no Ko approaches lies in a different way. If we want to sum up Oshi no Ko in a simple manner, we can just say it's a show about twins named Aqua and Ruby that were orphaned after their mother, a famous idol named Ai, was murdered in cold blood by a crazed fan, and after their mother's death, Aqua and Ruby are left to fend for themselves, dealing with their trauma from their mother's death, determined to encounter their mother's deranged fan. They do this all while navigating through the hardships of teen life and the even harder aspects of surviving in the abusive and suffocating environment of the entertainment industry. However, the revenge plot is only a small part of the show, and as I mentioned before, the entertainment industry plays a far bigger role in the story, being the main vehicle and setting that pushes the story forward, being a perfect stage for the anime's biggest theme and what I personally want to talk about today: lies. Lies are the beating heart of the anime's message, and despite lies being harmful and corrupt for the most part, it also presents a conflicting question. What if there could be a lie that was told, not from hate, not from cowardice, not from malice, but instead from a place of love? Oshi no Ko's core revolves around this absurd aspect, from idols performing with a mask to please fans, from actors feigning confidence and kindness to land roles, or even directors quietly manipulating connections to abuse their influence. Everything is built on carefully constructed lies, especially in this industry, and it is also where we are presented with the ever-fleeting, burning star named Ai Hoshino. When we are first introduced to Ai Hoshino, she is the example of a perfect idol, young, burning with passion, with a fire in her heart and eyes, and an energy that is hard not to be taken aback by. To the public, and to the viewer to an extent, she's the ideal idol. She's someone you want to stand. She dazzles you with her radiance, and you immediately fall in love with such an amazing character. However, there is just one jarring issue. She's perfect, maybe too perfect. Guess what? She's pregnant. And guess what? We got no clue who the daddy is. Goro, or Aqua, is our protagonist, and is one of the only people who see Ai at her lowest, when he is the doctor in charge of taking care of Ai during her pregnancy. At first, she continues to have her mask up, but she eventually learns to take her guard down around Goro. Throughout their walks and conversations, Ai's facade begins to fade, and she begins to tell the ugly truth that coats her beautiful lies. She never actually understood love, and often struggles to comprehend the feeling of love, maybe due to her troubled upbringing, so she's forced to lie to her audience. However, these lies were never made from bitterness, no. These lies were born from a place to please the fans, a place that desires to appreciate her fans, and maybe some can consider even a place of love. She admits this to Goro, and in turn, Goro believes her and suggests that maybe one day, even she can truly learn how to love. A quote that's been very repetitive throughout my life is the idea that one can fake it until they truly make it, and Ai exemplifies this excellently through her ideas of love. As I mentioned before, Ai admitted to herself lying to her audience, and in turn, we are forced to reevaluate the philosophy of Ai and what love and lies truly mean to her. Lies come as natural to humans as breathing, therefore, why would we believe a liar? For example, why would a gazelle trust a lion not to eat them? Why would an investor trust a notorious businessman to play fair? And in turn, why would we believe the love that comes from an idol who claims to have never actually understood love to be real? The mistrust of lies plays into the cloud of uncertainty that constantly surrounds her, even when she finally births her children. Despite her blossoming into a mother, we never really see her tell her children, Aqua and Ruby, that she truly loves them. Instead, she takes good care of them in every way a good mother would, and it's kinda similar to the way she approaches her career as an idol. She wakes up, she smiles, she performs, she sleeps. Wake up, smile, perform, sleep. Wake up, smile, perform, sleep. Repeat, 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 repeat. This act of performing isn't just towards her fans, it's towards her very own family as well. Of course, it's never noticeable because of how good of a liar Ai truly is, and she's just doing an act of going through the motions of loving others. It really puts into perspective how unsettling Ai's philosophy of lies truly was. She continued to live her life this way until tragedy struck the family's life. Bikomachi / Ai's group had the dream to reach the Tokyo Dome, and they worked tirelessly at the goal, with Ai being their main actor, using her charisma and influence to push boundaries that had never been seen before in the group. And after many, many years, they had finally made it. After so long, they would finally be able to perform at Tokyo Dome, the pinnacle of any idol. However, this would also be the day where a mysterious mastermind would leak a secret so destructive it would lead a crazed fan into Ai's doorstep. An act that changed the trajectory of everyone's lives forever. As a crazed fan discovers Aqua and Ruby, he then plunges the knife into Ai's chest. As she lays on the floor, coldly bleeding out, she then makes a discovery while talking to her children for the final time in her life. In her final moments, where there was nothing left but past and the memories she had made in her life, she finally understood what love was. The emotion she had attempted to mimic and spread across the world was now finally felt inside her, and she focused that love to the two most precious things in her life. As she took her last breath and murmured those sacred words to her children, she then promptly passed away, with a smile on her face, not because of what she had accomplished, but because she finally knew what it meant to be loved and to love. When framed like this, Ai's death is not seen as tragic, because instead of being seen as an idol who was never able to fulfill her true dream, she instead dies as a mother who got rid of her biggest regret in her final moments, not being able to love her children in the most honest way she could. This by itself would be a beautiful conclusion if she simply flew out like a shooting star, fleeting, granting everyone's wishes and disappearing without remembrance. However, she burnt out instead like a black hole, sucking the joy and excitement out of her loved ones' eyes and left them yearning for any type of fulfillment, either hot or cold. And it manifests in the desires of her tragic twins, Aqua and Ruby. Aqua, or Goro, whatever you want to call him, has always been one of my favorite characters in the series. Due to how layered and complex his writing was, you could never guess where his intentions in the story truly lie. But what I want to talk about is about how his hatred and cunning nature is simply a byproduct of the grief and trauma caused by Ai's untimely end. He was the one who Ai conversed with when she was pregnant, and he was one of the only people who knew about Ai's struggle to love, making those final words that she muttered to him weigh on him that much more. He understood Ai's lies, and he used them in a way for his own revenge, but also to keep up a shield with people who understand him and love him. You know how I said how Aqua's intentions were very debatable and iffy at a lot of the times in the story? Well, I hope so, because from here on out, I'm just going to go off my own interpretation of Aqua's character. As we all know, one of the biggest parts of Aqua's storyline is women and how he lets them in his life and how he treats them. And right here, we're just going to be focused on the two main girls, Kana and Akane. I'm not going to mention Ruby, because I don't really count that. If you do, you're kind of weird, but I'll still get into Ruby later. I'm going to try to reserve my bias as much as I can for this section, but I strongly believe that Aqua's approach to lies was opposite to how Ai's approach was. Aqua's relationship with Kana is always endearing for me to watch because they always just feel so natural. Their banter, their past, their stupid fights with each other, and it's all caused from Aqua just being an avoidant dickhead and Kana just being a simple girl who wants to be loved by someone who actually understands her and saved her desire to keep acting. And it's very beautiful to me. But it's also an example about how Aqua treats something that's not a lie. He pushes her away. He keeps her at arm's length. He goes out of his way to make sure that she never gets too close. As if she was, not only might she get hurt, but he wouldn't be able to handle how genuine her love is for him. While Ai lies because she wants to love, instead, he lies to avoid love. But even to go as far as just get away from it, he'll brutally beat into himself, refusing to let himself move on from Ai's death. He tells himself, "You stupid coward, you don't discern love. You let her die. How could you?"
But the unfortunate part is that,
And it all makes sense because how could you forgive yourself for letting your own mother die in front of you, including the fact that you were a doctor in your past life? Saving lives is what you do, but you failed to save two people who loved you. However, with someone like Akane, he doesn't have an issue with using her because he knows she's smarter. He knows she's obsessed with him, and he needs her for his investigation. Aqua's attachment to her only began once she began to act like his mother, which he so deeply wished to see again no matter what. So of course he's gonna cling on to her, even if it's just a lie. And of course, this is because in Aqua's mind, love is the thing that got his mother killed. Love is the thing that left two kids without a parent. So he wraps himself in the lies the same way he wraps himself in his revenge, not to reach something, but to make sure that nothing can reach him. I Slice wore a mask for the hope that she wore one day, knowing that the face underneath would finally match. Aqua's lies are a wall he builds, knowing exactly what's on the other side, and choosing to keep his mask on anyway. And maybe that's the most heartbreaking part about his whole development. I died finally understanding love, even if it took her whole life to get there. That was her goal. Meanwhile, Aqua's alive, breathing, and surrounded by people who genuinely care and love for him, and he is actively and deliberately choosing not to. In a show full of performers and pretenders, his might be the saddest performance of all. He is not lying to an audience. He is lying to himself.
That's enough about Aqua though. It's time to talk about Ruby. I did mention Ruby before, and I'm gonna go into her character now. Ruby, as I'm sure everybody knows by now, has probably have to have one of the worst cases and interpretations to talk about, because the author decided to go from Aqua and Ruby being a wholesome, innocent, and tragic brotherhood and sister duo to borderline disgusting. But let me cook. In order for me to truly understand Oshi no Ko and to argue that it's more of a good character written plot than a story written plot, I gotta get to the bottom of even the most deplorable parts of it. I do not condone this behavior, and it's stuff that I just have to talk about in order to, make a case for the story. So, Ruby, right? How Ai lies to attempt to feel love, and how Aqua lies to stay away from love. Ruby doesn't really have this clear relationship with love that they do. Instead, she lies to be what people believe Ai to be. A picture-perfect girl who is simply untouchable, lovable, and so bright, people are forced to call her their idol.
Well, maybe I did lie, just a little bit. Ruby does lie for people to love her. But why is she the way she is? Well, to understand Ruby, we have to go back not to her origins as Ruby, but to her past life as Sarina. Here I say, could you imagine yourself being a small, sickly girl? You start off as healthy, bright, happy, then you slowly but surely sink further and further into an unknown condition you have. And at first, you struggle to breathe, then fail to walk. Suddenly, you wake up in a bed, bedridden. It doesn't feel okay, but you have to be strong, because your beloved mother is right there for you, right? You wake up, and then what? You rot in bed all day, dying for a chance to see your mother again, because your mother loves you, and she wouldn't never abandon you, right? Fortunately for Sarina, her own mother couldn't even meet her eyes, and left her all alone to die. However, there was one person who always watched her, and another who gave her hope. Dr. Goro and her idol, Ai Hoshino. She only believed in herself because these two always believed in her. And after the absence of her mother, these two were the only things that kept her mentally positive until her sad and tragic death. And then, once she discovers that her mother died from a crazed fan, all she's left is with the hope to reach onto Goro as her last crutch. But then, on a snowy day, when she was walking down to try to meet her hero, she finds him dead. a ditch. And of course she would break. Who wouldn't? Here is why Ruby shifts herself from being true to herself and hopeful, and instead embraces the lies that her mother taught her. Not to feel love, but instead to hate. She would find the man responsible for Gora's death. And so she fought. She lied. She manipulated. And she slogged through her painful days, showing her true nature day after day after day after day. The work never ended, and neither did the lies. But if she couldn't even lie, then what was left for her? After all, she couldn't even trust her shitty brother, who taught her that the only person you could rely on, the only person that shared your pain, and the only person that could ever understand you was him. And even he betrayed your trust. Now, I want you, yes you, to think after all this. Could you withstand the pressure that you've brought onto yourself without a crutch? If you can't deal with all that, fantastic. But those who understand where I'm going with this, please stay. Back to what I was talking about. If only the doctor was still alive, there would be a reason to put on with all the madness. Little did she know, the man that saved or tried to save her life was there in front of her this entire time. All the weeks you spent grieving, all the months you spent working to find them, and all the years you spent imagining your reunion with him. You were finally able to meet him, and at this point, you're glad he's still alive, even if it is your older brother. Therefore, and listen to me right now, this is the point I'm trying to make. I do not believe this love is romantic. Ruby is desperate for any kind of hope. She just needs a crutch. As Memcho pointed out, the goat. And it's okay for her to rely on someone sometimes. When put in reason, it sort of makes sense. But of course, the author had to make it weird. Ignoring the brotherly sisterly love that's a little too loving, Ruby is an incredible character and an even more amazing representation on how it feels to be, abandoned and a desperation to work even harder just to be seen, even if you feel worthless and invisible. She's an amazing character, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for that, she would be a lot more positively seen. She could have been best girl, but she decided to love her brother too much. And that's just the story we're working with. Lie to be loved. Lie to shield your heart from love. And lying to love. 3 ways of loving that are ever so present in my life. Putting up a facade to break through to people and prevent others from coming in. And lying to yourself that things can be okay the way that things are. I know the feeling all too well. At first, I didn't know why Oshinoko spoke to me in a way that nothing else had. And little by little, I realized that it wasn't fiction, it was also the way I felt about my reality. Oshinoko, despite its many flaws in plot writing and things of that nature, will always be a standout, especially in the terms of the 3 main characters I consider, Ruby, and Aqua. Please, everyone, don't always lie to yourself and others. Learn to let them in. Learn to love earnestly and love yourself. I could talk forever about how it impacted my life, but I'll save that for another day. Oshinoko, stay great forever.
Hello, everybody. It is currently 12:47 a.m. on a crisp July night, and I have currently finished recording this video. If you guys like that video, please subscribe and like. It was probably the video I've been proudest of ever. It took me a long time to make. It's I'm gonna make an Origami video next, but please, I was listening through, and learn to love yourself. Learn to appreciate love. And I love all of you consensually. Next video will come out hopefully next 2 months. But I'm done pushing out stuff that doesn't interest me, and I will now be beginning to write about stuff that I actually love doing, even if it doesn't get views, which is all that it's about, right? But yeah, you guys stay great forever. Thank you for watching.